Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel about astrology and a Facebook page, which you find in the description box below. In this video, guys, I've received guidance from God, basically, that He wants me again to revisit a topic which I discussed before, namely embodiments, doing embodiments in your spiritual fighting. When God asks me to revisit something, it's usually because either somebody didn't understand right, or that somebody is trying to do it and they don't do it right, or they don't know that they need to do it, something like this. So I spoke about embodiments before. Usually what happens is, first of all, doing embodiments can be done for two reasons. One is either that is part of your, I wouldn't say your purpose, but part of the reason why you incarnated, to break a bondage. Yeah. Doing embodiment literally is ancient ancestral healing. Yeah. So you do embodiments for ancestral healing, for healing, breaking bondage and healing situations and karmic situations, basically, which are rooted in different lifetimes, when either you yourself were incarnated, or somebody from your lineage, one of your ancestors, was incarnated in that identity, and this bondage was created. Now, when you incarnate, part of the discussions that you have with the council is precisely this: why you incarnate. And you have a number of tasks, assignments, and things to do while you're incarnated. You come for a number of reasons. Yeah. And breaking bondage and doing ancestral healing is part of it. Everybody who incarnates does this for others from the lineage, or it's not even considered that you're doing for somebody. It's part of the workload, let's say, for the entire lineage, and it gets divided. And usually souls, individuals, claim before they incarnate. It's part of, you write a petition and you ask to incarnate. Nobody's forcing you to incarnate. And in your petition, you state what you, exactly like the ancestral letter, like astral letter, which I recommend always to do during karmic board meeting. It's exactly the same thing at incarnation, but you come in front of the council and you make this letter and you explain why you want to incarnate. And of course, you will come to break bondage for your soul, obviously. That will be a priority. But also, you will take on other tasks. And initially, it will be you who proposes what you want to do, you know? And also, it's you who chooses where to incarnate. In fact, God has shown to me, including that. You choose the parents that you go to, because you have a number of families shown to you which carry the same type of karma as the bondage that you are breaking. This is the decision of the council, for the purpose that if you break that bondage anyhow, because you want to, or you must because it's yours, then you're going to incarnate in a family which carries a similar karma, so you can also clean the karma of the blood family. So there are more advantages in breaking that bondage. Yeah. So there are more reasons. This is why this is a strategic decision which is being made. Of course, you're going to choose the family where you incarnate, but you have a number of families as options, and you will choose only from those families. And clearly, all the options you are offered are, again, on a similar situation from a karmic perspective, in such a way. So when you break your bondage, essentially you clear the karma of the blood family as well. Yeah, this is general information. Anyhow, so then this is embodiments are created, true embodiments are created by activation by the divine realm. Only God can activate this. But everybody in your ancestral team can request an activation for you. So they can say to God, we think she's ready. We think she's ready, and we think if she does this embodiment now, it will help her in this way, that she will understand something else, or that, I don't know, that she gains beneficity, she elevates, she whatever reasoning they give, and then God will decide and will do the activation. But you do this for the reasons which I explained before. So it's part of the spiritual purpose for why you came. But it can also be decided during your incarnation here on Earth, on 3D actually, that circumstances have changed in an unexpected way, not in a way which the council did not foreseen when you were incarnated, and you need certain set of abilities. I already explained this, that this was my experience, but I'm saying it again. You need a certain number of abilities in order to achieve the tasks assumed, and your own abilities basically, and the embodiments that you already signed up for are not enough. This happened to me when I was supposed to break a bondage with an individual, and that individual refused to break bondage. He basically was creating bondage for others on a role play. He was a mercenary for one of these convents. Therefore, of course, I couldn't count on him. He actually was one of my worst enemies in the end. But of course, as I said in another video, I told God, God said, you are supposed to break this bondage with this individual. And I said, I don't care. I'll break it on my own. So God said, okay, but you need a different set of abilities, because of course now you take upon yourself also the part of the task which he was supposed to achieve. So now you must do more activations, more embodiments for you to develop the abilities in order to do his job basically as well, right? So this is a situation which essentially derives from unexpected events which are not foreseen at the incarnation by the council. So therefore you have to take on different type of abilities and embodiments and so on. These are the two most important situations in which you do embodiments. Now, what you do with an embodiment, I also explained, but I will say it again briefly. When God does an activation of an embodiment on you, literally, your DNA changes. You take on the DNA of that soul, that individual, and literally, you feel in your energy field like traumas that individual suffered, habits that individual had. Now, why is useful? God actually asked me to say this before I started. Why is it useful to break bondage and to do ancestral healing? Because you will have a lot of clarification, and this I have seen myself. While I did breaking bondage for ancestral healing, so for souls from my lineage, from other incarnations, I got answers to certain things which I was doing, but I never had an explanation why. You will understand certain preferences which you have. So through that embodiment, you literally go through a circumstance, a timeline passes by your own eyes. You see that lifetime. God is showing to you the entire lifetime, and you feel whatever is related to that bondage that you need to break. Like I gave an example in Chile, I broke bondage for a woman from my lineage who was in a Nazi camp. And she was tortured. She went through a lot of turmoil. And once the embodiment was done on me, and that DNA overlapped on my DNA, I literally felt everything, all the torture she went through, everything. And I could see with my own eyes who was poisoning her, who was doing which type of torture. And my role of bondage breaking was to claim justice in her name. Obviously, that's why I was embodying her, right? Against each and every single situation which was shown to me. So literally, you see with your own eyes what happened to that individual. You see the truth. Because, of course, in 3D, they said a lot of lies. They said she was crazy and she refused food. But, for example, during the bondage breaking, God has shown to me that the prison guard refused to give her food and she was begging for food. She was starved, and I could see who was the prison guard. So I had to ask to claim justice, judgment, and punishment. So that bondage can be broken. Then another one said she was crazy and she sneaked out of her cell and she was sleeping with men in the prison, which was not true. And in fact, it was this woman who said these things that was doing this, and she just slandered her name because she wanted to take her to the hospital of the prison. I don't know how you call this. And basically to poison her, to kill her. This is the reason why. Because in the cell, she couldn't reach her. So she wanted to take her out. And then she took her to the hospital saying that she's crazy and tried to kill her, but didn't succeed. But I saw the whole thing. And the purpose of the bondage breaking is that you identify who did it. Because that event takes place, those bondages, once created, they repeat themselves in different shapes. Some things are a little bit different because it's 21st century now, and back then it was a different century, right? But still it repeats itself. The nutshell of the bondage, it repeats itself until it's broken. This is one of the rules of the astrals. This is why we're doing bondage breaking. This results in healing of that DNA and transmutation of the darkness associated with that type of bondage. Okay? So your role is to claim justice, judgment, and punishment on those. Now, sometimes it becomes dangerous for you when you do this. It's not like you sit idle and nothing happens. And some of these things that you go through, like the tortures that woman went through, God said to me that sometimes it's very dangerous and we need to make sure that you can survive to all of this. Okay, so this is the ancestral healing. Yeah, you do embodiments of different identities, and you do it either to break the bondage or both to break the bondage and get the gifts of that individual, because you need them for a purpose. Okay, you need them for a purpose. This is ancestral healing and claiming identities is not something for fun. Because this is another thing God asked me to talk about. I said in another video this. You can claim identities if you want, but you need to understand that if you receive, if you're approved by the council in divine realm, and you receive activation from God, you must understand that you have a duty associated with that embodiment. You must break the bondage. Nobody gives you an identity just so you can play around. We are not toddlers to play roles here. You can actually take a role and an identity, but you have a task associated to that, namely to break that bondage. And if the divine realm considers that you are not mature enough or you don't have the proper abilities to carry on that embodiment, they will not approve you. And I explained already this, that it happened to me that God said, in order for you to break this bondage on your own, I need you to take this embodiment. But for you to be able to take this embodiment, you need to take 3 more embodiments and break bondage for all 4 of them. You understand? Because this is God just explained to me, you cannot jump like this, elevating from one level to another. You need to do this, you need to do this, and only then you're able to do this one, which is necessary in order to carry on the task which we're looking at. Yeah. So this is really complicated, and literally it's not up to individuals, because you do not know what type of bondage you have to break and what kind of abilities you should have. This is why, because we're in 3D, and because they created all of this confusion and we don't have all the information. They created all this darkness, and many of the attacks are carried on only to prevent us from seeing the truth, to prevent us from seeing God, to prevent us from, So you can claim, nobody stops you, but you must understand that you must be approved by the council. You must receive the activation from God. And once you receive that, you have an obligation to break bondage from that individual and that identity which you claimed. Again, you will receive it only if you qualify and if it's useful to you. If you already have too many tasks which you assume, let's say something. For example, you at the incarnation, you assumed to break 10 bondages and you didn't break any of them, and now you want to break a totally different one. The council will not allow you. First, do your thing. And if you break a few of the bondages which you already took on, we will look at the rest of your requests. But you also need to do your homework. You came here with a homework. You cannot, this is not just fantasy land. This is all done with a purpose, with a strategic purpose in spirituality. This is not let's play around and do this and let's get this gift because we want to go to a party and to show people what abilities we have. No, this is not how it works. This has a spiritual purpose. And you have to, and unfortunately here we don't really know all of this. We don't see really all of this. And you might even not understand when you are rejected why you're not approved. But you can if you truly want an embodiment, just try not to want an embodiment of somebody who's alive, because that's not possible. But if that person is incarnated, you cannot embody somebody who's incarnated. But otherwise, if you have something that you actually dream of, because I imagine mostly men have this idea, and they really want to be different warriors in order to revisit different timelines and to learn different abilities, which I find legitimate. But you can write an astral letter and keep it and renew it every time, and you will learn when will be a good time, if will be a good time, maybe not now, maybe in a few years, maybe you get a specific assignment to do, and afterwards the council will reconsider your request and so on. I don't know who requested what. I don't know why God asked me to talk about this. But ancestral healing, this is what it means. It literally means that God is doing an activation on you, which means you receive a DNA, and you must do both bondage breaking and healing on that DNA. And once you finished breaking the bondage and healing the DNA, then that is over. The assignment is over. You're not that identity anymore. This is temporary. Ancestral healing and embodiments are temporary. I already said this so many times in my videos. You do not leave the bondage. You receive embodiments to break a bondage. That's it. Once you finish breaking it, you need to move on. This is a very big mistake that people are doing. And they receive an embodiment and they just like so much being that identity that they refuse to let it go, And actually, you have to break that bondage, and that's over. Move on. You're going to have another assignment. Or you already have a lot of assignments which you didn't finish yet. So let it go. Just let it go. Move on and see what's next on your list of homework for the 3D experience. That's basically it. I said many times this. This is very dangerous to get to live. This would be like you are an actor and you're playing a role, and the theater play is over, and then you don't want to understand that you're not that individual anymore. You go home and you pretend to be the queen, and of course your husband will just look at you like crazy. You cannot do this. So you have to let it go. It's a temporary embodiment. It's not your identity. And I explained, once you go through all these embodiments in order to break bondages, by the way, as I think I said this, but I will repeat it. All the bondages that you break, the ones that you are assigned to break by the council, are related to bondages which are created on you. So when you break that ancestral, when you do ancestral healing and break that bondage for that activation of DNA on you, then you will gain the ability to break the bondage which is created on you in this lifetime. Or sometimes it could be that you automatically, if it's breaking a bondage, ancestral healing for a soul from your lineage, it also can happen that when you break that bondage, also a bondage which is currently in your life automatically is being dismantled because it was built. It was a reiteration of the previous bondage from previous lifetime in your current lifetime. Yeah. So when you break that one, automatically this one goes away, and you clearly acquired the ability and the knowledge how to do it, so you could break it again if they will recreate it. Yeah. I don't know what else to say, and I don't, because God is not even showing to me why is He asking me to talk about this, because I already made videos on these issues, but somehow God feels like you revisit, we have to revisit these issues. Probably there are people who need to do this now, or people who are requesting to do this now. If you are requesting to do this now, I hope this is not for a doppelganger who's crazy lunatic that they claim to be me or somebody else. I really hope it's not for them, although it might be, because God has shown to me previously that this neighbor of mine, crazy neighbor of mine, who claims to be me, she literally now believes she's me, and she petitioned deities in divine realm, actually deities from my lineage, and requested that she would be granted the permission to be me. You can imagine how crazy you need to be to do this. Because I'm here, I'm alive. What do you mean? Who will give you permission to be me? It's not going to be two of us. Anyhow. So it could be also for this reason, for some kind of doppelganger, because they go crazy. Do you understand? Do you understand what it means? I look in dismay at these women who copy me, and they try to create identical behavior, looks, and style, even clothes they try to copy and stuff. And the problem is they do all of this magic, mirror magic, candle magic, altar magic, and all of the spiritual, a lot of spiritual fighting, a lot of black magic and sorcery and so on. And I guess, as you roll back and you break the karma, you break the bondage, karma is being delivered to them. So they have to deal with all of this which they send, which is really stupid, because if you want to be me, why you send death to me? Because if you want to be me, when you send death to me, it will come to you as well. Particularly if I have divine protection, it will clearly come to you instead of me, because you created it. What do you mean? What the fuck? Yeah. So and I look at them and literally they go crazy with all of this darkness which they themselves create. And I don't feel sorry for them. I just study the phenomenon, to understand how it works. Because I don't feel sorry for them, because when they created those forces, they first sent them to me. And it wasn't easy for me to go through that. So then I really don't feel any kind of empathy for them when they suffer, simply because they created that shit and they attacked both me and my dogs. So to me, it's like, okay, that's good. Now you need to know how it feels. Anyhow, we derived from the topic. Ancestral healing is exactly like I described it, is basically breaking bondage um, for a different lifetime, different incarnation. And again, when you're done with the breaking that bondage, you will receive benefits and rewards from the divine realm. You will receive the gifts from the individual for whom you broke bondage. Yeah, I forgot to say this. So you break bondage for somebody from your lineage. That individual is grateful to you for doing this. Hence, will become your spirit guide, because you transmuted darkness, and that soul is now able to do work from the divine realm. And the first person on 3D that they will help will be you. So it will be a very special connection between the two of you, because you did embodiment of that individual. So you have a very close connection. You understand? And you receive gifts. Gifts in terms, real gifts, meaning abilities, gifts, spiritual gifts, to do different things, spending or whatever gifts that individual had. They're transferred gifts to you from them as a present for and reward for your work, and for the I don't know how to say this, for the good deed that you did for your lineage, or whoever is that. Yeah. And they will become your ancestor. So you preserve a very good connection with them. It's very special. And you elevate, you receive a new rank. I mean, each embodiment is really traumatizing. Don't you think that is something easy? But of course, there are many rewards at the end. There are many rewards at the end. And yeah, slowly, then you have to let it go, and the embodiment, heal your own body, because you're in human incarnation. So you have to heal your own body from, because it's really painful. It's not easy, literally. It's not easy to do this. It's a DNA activation, and then that DNA leaves. And then you have to stabilize your DNA, to balance your energy, to heal your body, and to find your balance from all perspectives. Literally, it's like you live for a period of time in a totally different world, somebody else's life. But you live it feeling their emotions, their feelings, their thoughts, their everything, and everything that they lived. And you actually, through this bondage breaking, you don't live, you only live the bad things that that individual experienced, only the bondage, right? Sometimes a bondage which led to death for them. Okay. So it's not like you experience some period when that individual fell in love and went to party and had such a good time. No, he only experienced the part of that of individual's life which needs your help, namely bondage breaking. So it's something traumatizing. It's not something fun. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna end now because it's 29 minutes and that's enough. I hope I said everything that is needed on this matter. It's really beautiful experience of working with the divine realm to do ancestral healing and embodiment. It's also very rewarding, but it's also hard work, which is, I think, fair. But this is a key always to unlocking current situations in your life. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop here now. If you have any questions, just let me know.